Get your CGR shirts and glassware at ClassicGameRoom.com. Classic Game Room is brought to you by Magnum Skywolf. CGR is supported by fans on Patreon. Thank you. Welcome to Classic Game Room, where it's time to put down your Pokemon Go and play some Plane and Tank from Radio Shack. That's right, they're coming back, and hell's coming with them. Radio Shack. It's been a long time since Radio Shack has been a force in the gaming industry. Maybe it's time they make a return, and I can think of no better way to start than by making a sequel to Plane and Tank, because this game is great. It's got tanks and planes. It sounds like they could be friends, right? Like Starsky and Hutch, administrator and of this facility. But no, they're mortal enemies here, as the planes are trying to bomb the tank, and all you want to do is get over that drawbridge. The simplicity makes it good. No! The planes bombed the tank before he crossed the drawbridge. What's on the other side of the bridge? I think it's a tank party. There's a bunch of tanks over there drinking beer, rocking out to some music on their Optimus hi-fi stereo purchased from Radio Shack in 1992. I had one of those. They were terrible. Woo! Extra tank! For that we get a remote-controlled car from Radio Shack. Oh, how times have changed. Radio Shack was once a force to be reckoned with. The place to go for buying capacitors, batteries, and other do-it-yourself electronic kit things. Now it's like a Best Buy for old people, but I think Radio Shack could have their best years ahead of them if they would just release a sequel to Plane and Tank. Because while it's not widely known, this game is actually really fun. The beauty of Plane and Tank is in its simplicity. You just avoid the bombs and get over the drawbridge. It's like one of the old school Nintendo Game & Watch games, except this is from Radio Shack, which actually makes it cooler, because you never saw it coming. Seriously, I thought this game was gonna be a joke, but no. Radio Shack Plane and Tank is legit. Each time I played, I figured out some new strategies for dodging these bombs, got a high score. It's a really good game. Plane and Tank, who knew? There's only 2 buttons, left and right. You start each round in your little cave there. After a few seconds, it will push you out into oncoming bombs though, so plan your exit carefully. I recommend hanging out in the middle of the playfield if possible, which gives you some left and right moving options. Dodge the bombs, but keep a sharp eye out for the drawbridge. Then race across it, scoring big points. It seems that you also score points just for staying alive, which you won't do very long unless you get across that drawbridge and reach the tank party. Maybe they're playing Atari using one of the Radio Shack brand RF adapters, where you could switch between TV and game. I had a Radio Shack comic book back in the day. Like, my dad loved Radio Shack, so everything in our house electronic was Radio Shack, including the stereo, which was terrible. Optimus has nothing to do with Optimus Prime. It sucks. Thankfully, this game doesn't. It also doubles as an alarm clock. So when your iPhone dies on you, Plane and Tank will keep working. That's the power of Radio Shack. I even like the name. I think when you put the word shack into any company, it automatically makes it cool. Kinda like Hut. Woo! In fact, the best company ever made would be called Hut Shack.
Oh, come on, this is unfair.
Hut Shack is the place to go for pizzas and batteries. I've got a Classic Game Room shout out and thank you going all the way to Eric from Pasadena, California. Thank you for sending Plane and Tank to the show. This one may be a Game of the Year contender for 2016. It's surprisingly fun. I just found myself getting absorbed by this little tank trying to get over the drawbridge. Also, I needed a new alarm. Now be forewarned, if you buy this, try to get one with the instructions because the date and the mode buttons are pretty confusing. There's 2 gameplay modes. I think the second one is just faster. And it's a really fun game. Plane and Tank Radio Shack, if you're listening, make a sequel. And I don't want better graphics. I don't want improved sound, online multiplayer, DLC, augmented reality, or anything else. Plane and Tank 2 should just come in a red case with a number 2.
That's the score to beat, kids. That's the score to beat.
If you're going to buy the game anyway, buy it through ClassicGameRoom.com. Classic Game Room is supported by fans on Patreon. Thank you. Now prepare for the Lord Carnage Club, where I celebrate these backers on Patreon by shouting their name in a volcano! Derek Langley. Beer is the trick. Stephen Chucknick. From New Jersey, Michael Fernandez. People not named Michael Fernandez aren't Michael Fernandez. Al Stiver. Woo! EDM! Jason from British Columbia. Philipp Straubenmueller from Vienna, Austria. Cue the thunder. Jeff, Captain Dauntless, Briar. Cue the lava. I don't know what lava sounds like. It sounds like this. Jack Stavris from Australia. Ohad Kane, Master of Thunder. Chip Sankvale, Fighter of Space Bees. Woo! Rick DeBarros gets the extra disco. Michael and Ariana Nelson, Fighters of the Future. That's enough disco, because now it's time to shout, Busy Signal! That's right, and keep the volume loud and the party rocking for Sean Zoltek. Really? No. Sean Zoltek! Sergio Matthias Hergert! Tubular. Will.